Good day, ladies, and welcome to another insert in our Ordinary Woman Doing Extraordinary Things series. And today I'm super excited to introduce to you Tina Hong, and she runs a business called Goodness Multiplied, and that's Living Well Programs. So my name is Lynette Anderson, and I'm the owner of Quantum Leap Coaching and the founder of the Purpose to Wealth program. And I help women to build businesses that give them the freedom to express who they are, do what they love, and earn what they deserve. And Tina is one of those beautiful women, and I'm really excited to introduce her to you. So welcome, Tina, to Purpose to Wealth, to the sisterhood. I'm super excited to hear about your journey.
Thank you so much for having me, Lynette.
Oh, it's an absolute pleasure. So let's kick off, Tina, with first of all telling us a little bit about you and the business that you're currently running.
Mm-hmm. So I am a certified lifestyle nutritionist, and I work with midlifers, mostly baby boomers in their 40s, 50s, and 60s, who are going through life transitions and maybe hormonal changes, maybe career changes. But basically, I focus on helping people get healthier. So what I found over the years is that working professionals, busy women who are juggling family, life, business, maybe their own businesses, have really kind of forgotten about taking care of themselves from a weight management standpoint, from a health standpoint. And most clients that end up coming to me are pretty burnt out and exhausted. So what I focus on is helping women turn around their health, and also men, actually. It's for both gentlemen and ladies, but who have kind of high impact careers, peak performers, who are overachievers. Those are the types of people who I work with. And yeah, so that's what I've been doing, and healing them from a weight loss standpoint, from a health standpoint, getting them off of pharmaceutical medications or weaning them off pharmaceutical medications. But really starts with weight management and through mindfulness work that I do. Mm-hmm.
It's so interesting that you have mentioned midlifers, because what's a very common theme, or what I'm working with a lot, is women that live their first half of their lives for everyone else, and they live the second half of their lives for themselves, and they have absolutely no idea how to start, because they're so wired to serve other people that to now look at serving themselves is a really hard question for them to answer. So can you tell us, how did you get here? What was the journey? What journey have you been on that is sort of putting you in a position to now serve back in this particular area?
Well, there's been a lot of pivots in my career. This is my third business that I'm cultivating. And I'm really excited about this because it is really founded on something that I felt was my calling. Ultimately, after all the pivots that I had in corporate, launching 2 other businesses, and here I am. But essentially, the biggest, the biggest kind of awakening moment in launching my coaching business happened about 10 years ago. My dad had a diagnosis for a duration of 10 years of terminal cancer. And so I was a part with him in that journey of caring for him while he was facing death and pivots and turns around his cancer journey. He had multiple different kinds of cancers that evolved over time. And there was a lot of, he had his business, so had to take care of his business and reallocating his business, selling his business, and all the assets related to that. There was just so much more than just the caretaking around the illness part, which was very emotional. But what I learned out of that experience was I just saw so much suffering with him.
Mm.
And then he was at one of the best cancer centers in the world at Memorial Sloan Kettering in New York City. And basically, you know, I remember spending a lot of time there post surgeries and recoveries over a period of 10 years. They knew me so well, they thought I worked in ninth floor neurology. They thought I was one of the doctors because I was always on there asking questions and being on top of things. But what I learned is that what just came to me was that a lot of this, although cancer is a dreaded disease that sometimes is in uncontrollable in terms of how you get it, I questions whether it was preventable. There were so many people of all ages, of all nationalities, of all walks of life in that hospital, and I said, can this be prevented? Why is America so sick? Why is 50% of America on pharmaceutical medication? And why is everybody so stressed?
Yeah.
So this stress really causes metabolic issue, causes disease. And so I said, geez, you know, I want to do something about this. And I want to help people turn their health around before it's too late. And it was just this aha moment that some things can be prevented, but most people live their life when they're chasing after their dreams or success or money or just even out of survival, taking care of their families. They become very unconscious about how they're taking care of themselves and checking in with how much stress their body is consuming.
Mm.
And, you know, even during this stressful time, you know, at the time I was running a startup business while my dad was sick in Massachusetts, and I was getting my MBA in the evenings. It was just crazy. And like, I remember like one time I went to the hospital. I literally drove down 4 hours to New York City to be there before surgery. And I had so much tension in my chest. I went to the hospital room and I said, I'll be right back, Dad. And I walked across the street and I went to the emergency room at New York Presbyterian. I said, I think I'm having a heart attack. And but it was anxiety. It was a freaking anxiety attack because I was under so much stress. And literally, I thought I was having a heart attack, and I was there to caretake for my father. And I excused myself, and I said, I'll be right back. I went across the street to the other hospital and literally checked into the ER and said, I think I'm having a heart attack. Can you please check me out right now? It's such a funny story, but it's true. And they gave me a steroid shot. They're like, you're just having an anxiety attack. So just amazing manifestation of your thoughts and your fears and how it translates to your physical body and how much your physical body endures and receives. All the data that we bring in, right? All the data we allow to come into our minds, thoughts, our emotions, and even through food, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So whatever we consume, however it is, it's energy. And that actually manifests into a physical body. And so I want to help people. I'm passionate about people, helping them to turn around their health before it's too late. Because there's too many people walking around that they're just on the verge. They're just on the verge. Yeah. Okay. So if I was having that heart attack at that moment in the hospital in the emergency, and while I was trying to caretake for my father at a cancer center across the street, can you imagine? Yeah. Yeah. I wasn't checking in with myself. It was under extreme stress. And people live with this kind of level of stress on a daily basis. Yeah. And they don't know how to unwind it. They don't know. It's not just about slowing down. It becomes habitual and it becomes a subconscious, ingrained in the subconscious. Yeah. So that's kind of how I got into this. And I'm passionate about really, it sounds crazy, but I'm passionate about saving people's lives in their midlife, because that's at a pivotal point where it could take a bifurcation, a path. Yeah. Either you end up in your 80s and 90s taking ballroom dancing classes and living a healthy, joyful life and
Yeah.
fulfilling life. Or there are those people who are on walkers in their 80s and 90s. Or God forbid, be in a situation where they're hospitalized and they cannot help themselves.
Yeah.
And that is truly the most, I don't know, just desperate feeling when you are not able to help yourself. So your health is your most important and most valuable asset.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so many times we only discover that when it's too late. We only take it for granted until we get that phone call from the doctor to say, I need to speak to you. And then everything else becomes unimportant because now I've got to focus on my health.
That's right.
So I'm so delighted to be chatting to you because I'm absolutely on the same wavelength as you. I've always looked at cancer and thought, cancer is not a disease. It's a malfunction of the body. And your body is it's a miraculous entity that you can put under so much pressure and then put it in a perfect environment and it can recover.
That's right.
So many times, by the time you get to that point, your body is damaged beyond recovery. And then it's, I wish I had, if only.
Yes.
You know, along the journey, you know, what I've seen is that women have got this pivotal moment, this shift in their life, because you're going along happily in your comfort zone, and suddenly something either pushes you out of your comfort zone or pulls you out of your comfort zone. So what's interesting to me is that you had this holistic experience of the illness with your father. It wasn't just watching him go through an illness. It was the ripple effect of what else was affected in his life with that illness. You know, he's been, like you said, he's, you know, his experience of life. And you've had this holistic experience of his illness, and now you're bringing in a holistic sort of recovery or not recovery, but holistic
healing.
avoidance.
It's about healing your body, healing your body from stress and all the things that you consume. Yeah.
Yeah. So you had a two-pronged, you were pushed out of your comfort zone by your father's illness because now your life shifts, and someone you see is you love is ill, and it's the most disempowering, frustrating thing because you're helpless. Nothing that you can do will bring back this person or give them the health. You can't be their burdens for them. You can't help them. You've just got to be there and go through the process. So you were pushed out of your comfort zone. And then you said you were pulled by a passion by, you said you want to help people turn their life around before it's too late, or help save people's lives, but not when they're ill, before they get ill. So teach them the tools and the tricks so that they can live an abundant, healthy life and not ever get that call from the doctor.
Correct. That's right.
So, on that journey, you would have now found your passion and you're being pulled towards that, but you would have also come along the journey with a lot of experience, tools, tricks that you're now using in your business, and it's things that you found to be valuable and that work because you've tried them and it's got you to where you are now. So what are some of those things that you're now incorporating into your business that you learned as an experience along the way on your journey?
Yeah, so you know, my focus has kind of changed along the way, but you know, initially I was working mostly on weight loss. So I would help clients lose up to 100 pounds, and was really getting into body composition and also why do people gain weight in their midlife? Why is there food addiction? Why are there emotional eating issues? You know, that was one aspect of that I incorporate into my work. But what I learned is in my early part of the weight loss, you know, coaching work that I did, was that I could, you know, there's a million different solutions for weight loss, right? So I could give you the macros and the micros and what you need to do to change your body composition in your midlife. Be stronger, okay? Be less fragile, but also lose weight. I could give you the blueprint for that. But what happens is, if your habits and your mindset do not align to that goal of literally changing your body composition, your body structure, to support your ecosystem, and including your brain and your thoughts and how you function, that if you don't transform your habits and your mindset, then you're not going to succeed. Okay. So it's in action that I coach my clients, and it's also in mindset work, which is mindfulness work. So we begin with, the basic fundamentals of what you eat and how you eat, but also what is your mindset going into nourishment, and what is your mindfulness and raising your consciousness around how you care for yourself, and why it's so important to your business, to your family, and to everything else in terms of your dreams. So I kind of incorporate that into a lot of my work. And there's a lot of science behind that I also incorporate in terms of really retraining the subconscious, so that you're reprogramming automatic instincts and automatic go-tos that you typically do. So I call it retraining some of those habits and autopilot things that we don't even think about. We just do it, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes they're not supportive of our health or our future dreams,
Yeah. What I'm loving is that as a result of your journey, you know that the health or the physical situation that the person is in is a consequence of something much bigger. So we all know that if we want to lose weight, we should do more exercise and eat less junk food. We all know that. But underlying, like you refer to, the unconscious. So what is it? What is the reason why you have been doing all the wrong things? And how do we reprogram your beliefs and your thoughts, so that instead of now punishing yourself and not doing all the things you enjoy doing, now you reprogram it so that you start doing the things that you love doing, and they're good for you. So it's a complete transformation, and it's a lot deeper than a new eating plan or a new exercise plan. It's a fundamental shift in lifestyle.
That's right. That's right. And what I learned is that the program that I put together and I designed for my clients, it works, and it's long-term. It's not about losing the fast 20 pounds. It's about changing your mindset about self-care and why health is the most important, valuable asset. And they really have clarity around that. And they use that clarity for all aspects of their life. So I don't just talk about your health and what to eat and how to eat and all that stuff, but I talk about all relationships, your business. It's all fundamentally tied into how you care for yourself and prioritizing your value system, essentially.
So if there was a woman that was on the journey, so she's now had the phone call, or she's had a bit of a scare, or she's at the moment, what advice would you give her at this point to get on the journey? What's the first or the next steps that she should be taking?
Okay, so where is she? She's on the journey of...
She's had that phone call, she's had a bit of a health scare, and she's looking for someone like you to help her now take the journey to wellness. Where does she begin?
So, where does she begin? Well, first of all, I would reassure her that it is totally possible to turn your health around. it is totally possible in your 60s and 70s to be strong, to be confident, and to rebuild your brain and your gut so that you are brilliant in your most right, in your most birth given right that you deserve, right? So health can be affects so much, okay? And what we need most as business owners or entrepreneurs is to function and to be alert and not fuzzy. So, so what I would say is, you know, when someone is at that point ready to take their life back or their health back, you know, and the work that I do is really clarifying why they want to take their health back. And maybe possibly the work that you do, Lynette, is really getting to the why. Why are you doing this? What's the underlying goal, or what's the long-term vision of it? You know, it's not like you're just doing something today just for today. Yeah. Even though it's important to be in the present moment, but you're doing something for a longer term vision, whether it be a legacy or, you know, I used to always say, like, this is how I kind of live my life. I think about, when I die, what would I want people to say about me? Yeah. Right? Yeah. You know, you've heard of that, but I truly like envision like my friends and family and people who love me, who know me, my inner being. And what would they say, Anna, online at the wake, at the viewing? Like, what would they say about me? What would I want them to remember about me? So that's like really powerful, because that means like all the choices that you make today actually reflect that vision. Yeah. That at that end time, because we're all going to have an end to our clock. Absolutely. We're not going to all live forever. Yeah. So it's about what you choose in the time that you have. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know if that exactly answered your question. No, it did, because, you know, we've all done that, New Year's resolutions, and we've all made the beach body decision, and then done it once or twice and then stopped. And what's great is that you're saying, why do you want to do it? What is the reason that is even more important than dropping a dress size? Exactly. What are you doing when you drop a dress size? If you want to live that legacy, and if you want to be remembered for this, where does health plug into that? And the motivation is so much bigger then, because, you know, dropping a dress size is nice. I'll look a lot better. But if it's bigger than that, if you're showing how life transforming health be, how much more you could be, how much more you could show up as a human being and in fulfilling your purpose, well, that's something that helps somebody bounce out of bed for absolutely certain. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. So, Tina, along your journey, just share with us some of the challenges that you've come across, and how you overcame those challenges, because it's quite a daunting journey from where you were rushing across to an emergency room yourself to now be this sort of this wise woman who is teaching another woman to come on this journey and saying, well, hold my hand, I'll show you. What are the challenges that you came across on your journey? Well, in terms of an entrepreneurial journey, do you mean? Yeah. 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 Okay. So a lot of my situations were, and I think a lot of people live their life very reactively. And I used to live my life reactively. Like, it was out of survival that I didn't have many other options. I just had to figure it out, right? And there have been many pivots in my life where I just had to figure it out. It was an act of survival, you know? Yeah. And it's amazing what a human being and how creative they can be when they have no choices and they just have to be creative. Yeah. And I think that's when brilliance shows up. Instead of, and it's out of fear, deep fear, where you're like I don't know where the money's going to come from. I don't know how I'm going to survive. I don't know how I'm going to take care of my family. Maybe you're a single mom. Maybe, you know, you're running a business. It may fail completely and go bankrupt. Who knows? Like you may be hanging on the fringes, you know, and maybe you're at a job for 20 years of your life and, you know, it's just not fulfilling anymore. And I've heard that story so many times. But like, think about it. Until you get to the point where there are not many options and you think that you're kind of at a wall, that's when your creative genius comes out. And for me, it was out of survival, out of like what I felt I needed to do or had to do, that I had to react, and somehow I was creative. You know, I had the creative genius in me where I was able to just be resourceful with what I had, right? With whatever little I had, you know, nobody handed me like, you know, $5 million in a trust fund and said, go for it. You know, like I had to work for every little, you know, thing here and there to figure things out. And I had to, you know, but having a good mentor, having good mentors around you was really important. Good inspirational guides and mentors who have done it before, and allowing you to be fully you, to be able to express yourself in the work that you do is so valuable. So to answer your question, you know, like it was really out of survival to be able to surpass fear. So, you know, when my dad's business, it was a matter of, you know, losing the business or selling it. You know, I had to find a buyer for that business, and I did.
Yeah.
And there was all kinds of stress related to that. This was like while he was in the hospital. But you just figure it out. You just get creative. And I think when you have gratitude and you can trust yourself, when you can trust that there is a way out and everything is figure-outable. I love that term, figure-outable. There's always something, but our human genius is to be creative and to come up with an alternative set of options that you may not be seeing right before you, that's so black and white, so constructed in a contrived way that most institutions of companies or the world says, here's your options, you know, right? But if you allow your creative genius, and everybody has this to some degree.
Yes.
And it's about honing that instinct and listening to those creative genius thought patterns and ideas and generating options that you can come up with ways to survive, ways to get out of the fear mode into out of paralysis. But it's like working a muscle that you haven't worked in a long time, right? When you go back to the gym and you haven't worked on the your hamstrings for a while or whatever, and you're kind of weak and you're shaking. Okay. So it's like a muscle. So if you continue to train, you continue to, you know, kind of persevere through fear and take steps and trusting the universe has your back, then those muscles get strong and you get stronger and stronger and stronger. And basically you become much more courageous about the risks you take, and putting yourself out there and knowing that you're going to be okay. And to take that step is part of your passion and purpose and mission in life and your birthright, actually. Again, your legacy, like what do you want to leave behind? What's the story that people are going to tell about you? You know, you don't want to be in the story of, oh, well, they just work their fingers to the bones being behind the desk in a corporate market. Hey, some people, that's comfortable and that's good. They're perfectly content with that, and that's totally fine. But some people, maybe there's something more.
And I completely get that. Under pressure, your creative genius comes to life. But what was the What was the guiding light that you kept working towards? That, you know, there's always there's a fear and there's always an obstacle, but there's something beyond that, that if you can just see that and keep focused on that, and that's your why. So what was your why on that journey? What kept pulling you past your fear, through the obstacles? What did you keep working towards?
Well, I guess it's really just freedom to
Freedom.
create. Freedom to create. And I really didn't I believe that well, I believe that you don't have to fit into a mold of what you think is expected of you. And so the drive is really about freedom. I want to have my schedule. I want to have my freedom. I want to create. I want to create things. And God gave me the talents to create and vision. And I want to do bigger and better things for the world. I want to accumulate wealth as an investor to seed other businesses in the world. To do good in the world, to grow other businesses, but focused on health and wellness. That's kind of my niche and my you know, my lane. But essentially, imagine if the work that I do translates to accumulating resources so that I could do much bigger things. And that's what really drives me, because I can't do that working in a corporate job. Like I can't do that being paralyzed. So that drives me in terms of, I know that there's a God-given vision, that I have a higher calling. It's not just about, you know, losing 20 pounds, helping somebody lose 20 pounds. It's like, I'm seeding the world to change their paradigm of health.
So the moment it becomes about more than the job you're doing, the moment it becomes about something greater, that's when inspiration kicks in. And that's when the inspiration becomes bigger than the fear.
That's right.
So on just to wind up, Tina, you referred to, you said, I found my calling. Just tell me what that feels like. What does it feel like to have found your calling? Because when you say that, that is something that you say from your body. It's not, I think I found my calling. It's, I found my calling. It's like a deep knowing. I found my calling. Can you just share with us what your experience was of finding your calling?
Well, I'm not sure if I guess, well, it was kind of like, well, you know, when your calling is clear to you, when everything resonates, and the universe has this powerful way of putting you in these places that you're like, how the hell did I get here? You know? And it sort of doesn't make sense, because our rational mind thinks we should have done something else, or we should have done, you know, taken this path or whatever. But according to your vision, and when you raise your consciousness, awareness, and presence about your vision and what truly calls to you, and really you're able to tap into that, and you really focus on that, what you focus on grows, right? So when you do that as a practice and in diligence for yourself, you really raise your awareness and tuning in your antennas around what is possible for you, but also what gives you pure light and joy. And I really believe that the universe kind of just puts things in place. And that when you know that there's these, like when the path kind of takes itself, and it's not through rational mind or control or decisions, and somehow these things present itself to you, then you know it's bigger than you trying to create a blueprint and saying, exactly, this is what I'm doing here, you know, like A, B, and C.
Yeah.
We often say that those are our plans, and here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to make so much money. I'm going to be successful. I'm going to have children. I'm going to get married. You know, like I'm going to get divorced. I'm going to start my business. You know, like every aspect, evolution of your life, right? You can try to control, but it is when you let go and you practice honing your awareness and tuning into those antennas of your inner calling that you start seeing things presented.
Yeah.
And it's a magical thing. And that's when you know when it's a calling. But it takes practice. It's not just a one thing. It's not a one and done.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah.
Yeah. But it feels almost like life is flowing you.
Totally.
Doing the work, it's definitely not a free ride, but it just feels like there's a momentum, and you
Exactly.
just flow with it. You just flow
That's
with it.
correct. Yeah.
So now, from where you stand now, Tina, if you could give your earlier self, yourself at the beginning of the journey, one piece of advice, what advice would you give to yourself on the beginning of this entrepreneurial journey, this transition that you've been on for so many years? What would you say to your younger self?
To my younger self that, well, mistakes are okay. You know what? It's okay to fail.
Yeah.
And it's not the end of the world. And what you do is you pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and keep going because you have a much bigger purpose in life.
Yeah.
Right? So, you know, I often see many younger people as well as myself back in time being like devastated because I did something wrong or it wasn't perfect, you know, but now it's like, oh, well, okay, learn from that. All right. Yeah, I learned from that, but there's that lesson that I learned from that is just going to be able to make me even better. So be graceful with yourself, have grace for yourself and compassion, knowing that mistakes and failures are a part of the journey and that it's okay, actually. It's okay to fail. You should fail a million times before you succeed.
Yeah.
Because, and it's okay to fail because through those failures, you learn so much about yourself, about your calling, about your vision. And what makes you a character and a leader in life in your business. So that's what I would say.
Oh, that's beautiful. And wouldn't it have been amazing if you had known that at the beginning of the journey? Wouldn't it have been easier if you had just known at the beginning of the journey it's okay to fail? How much easier it would have been?
Well, I think I've had even mentors and even my parents and my upbringing that, you know, they demonstrated to me that failure is okay, or I got coached or mentored around that. But at the time, you don't really see it or experience it until you actually go through it, right?
Yeah.
Like your parents telling you to, you know, make sure you put your socks on before you go out in the rain or something. You know, this is like a parental basic thing, but you don't care. You just want to do what you want to do, and then you do it, and then, you know, you don't realize until later on, wow, that was really good advice.
Yeah. Well, Tina, thank you so much for sharing your journey and your wisdom with us. It was really beautiful chatting to you, and I wish you the very best. I think what you're doing is incredible, and helping people to appreciate their health before it's too late is such an amazing gift to give to not only that person, but all the people that love them. It's an incredible gift. So thank you for sharing with us. And
thank you, Lynette. Thank you for helping me. And
oh, it's such a pleasure. And you'll be posting all your details in the comments when we share your video. So if anyone would like to get in touch with you and join you on your health journey, they will get in touch with you directly. But from me, thank you so much for just sharing your wisdom and your inspiration. And thank you for inspiring any lady that's listening that's on the beginning of her journey that might have been afraid to step into the journey, knowing that it's okay to make mistakes. We all do. And they to experience that amazing feeling at the end of being in your calling, of just being with that flow and being supported by the universe and getting to that
That's
point.
right.
Yeah.
Yes. And I just want to acknowledge you, Lynette, for the work that you're doing and really giving people the path and the steps to get there, because it's not so much having the vision and the calling, but you do need to have the steps and the path and the guidance to get there. You just get there faster. Okay. So that's, so I acknowledge you for your wisdom and all that you give to your clients and the world. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. I really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Tina.
Okay. So I guess we'll be in touch. Thank you so much for this
Awesome.
time.
Thank you.